Hey guys, welcome to Creative Arena. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create this crazy 3D rotation effect without the use of any line of CSS code with the Elementor free version and also the Elementor Pro version with the use of CSS code. So at the end of this tutorial, we're going to create something that looks like this. So when you hover, you get this. And you hover on the Pepsi, you can have this. And you hover at the Coca-Cola, you have this effect as well. So without further delay, let's dive in and get started. Before we get started creating our crazy 3D rotation effect using the Elementor free version and also the Elementor Pro version, I'm going to walk you through on how to go about getting the resources needed to create this effect for free. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to freepik.com, okay, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to search for empty soda card, and then we're going to search for this. I'm going to have a lot of options. Then make use of this option. You can even make use of this one as well. But however, we're going to make it, and there are also some premium versions here, but we're going to make use of a free version. So we're going to make use of this one here. So we're just going to click on it, and then we're going to come over here to click on this remove background option, and then allow for it to load. It's going to automatically remove the background from this image, and we can download it. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to download the PNG. Right, we've downloaded it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to come over to Pinterest, and then in Pinterest now, this is where we're going to get the wrapper for our can, for our soda can. Okay, so we're just going to come over here in Pinterest, and then we're going to search for soda can wrapper template. I'm going to search, so it will give us a lot of results. So this is the first result we're going to download. We're just going to come over here and we're going to download this. Okay, and we're going to go back and we're going to download the one for Pepsi as well. We're going to download it as well, and we can also go back and search around for other beverages we may want to use for our project. You can see there are a series of options here that we can use. Okay, like you can see the Kool-Aid here. Now click on this. You can download this Kool-Aid as well. You can see other options here. I think I like this cherry flavor. So we can just come over here. We can download this. And then there is Dr. Pepper as well. We can also come over and download this. So we have enough. And you can see other brands, other options of soda can wrappers that you can make use of here. So depending on whatever one you want to make use of, you can even create one from scratch if you're good with graphics and all that. Okay, so now that we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is we just come over here to download history. And this is the first one we downloaded, which is the empty soda can. So I'm just going to drag it to Photoshop, and then I'm going to paste it here on Photoshop. And what I'm going to do here is all this, the spaces around it, I'm going to remove it. So I'm going to crop it. So to do so, just come over here and crop it. Okay. And you can use any other tool to achieve this effect. Now we'll crop it this way, and we'll come over here to the image, click on crop, and now we can export it. So now we're done. We've gotten all the resources we needed. So let's head back. And now let's come over to our Elementor editing screen, okay? So we're currently making use of the Elementor free version, as you can see here, access all pro widgets, and even here as well. So what we're going to come over here and we're going to select the flexbox content. I'm going to select the structure here. Now we're going to come over to the content width, set it to full width, and then for the minimum height, change the uniform pixel to VH, and then give it a value of 100. Head over to the style option, change the background color to black. And then we're going to go back to the layout, just far item to the center and align item to the center as well. Now we're going to come over here, drag a container and drop it here. And for this container, we're going to set the content with the full width. Now we're going to also add another container within this container here. So we just drag it and drop it here. Now for this outer container, this one here, we're going to make sure we align item to the center. And then for the direction row, we're going to set it row horizontal and just 5 items. Content to the center as well. Now for the inner container here, this one, we're going to come over here to the content width. We're going to set the width to 20%. the next thing we're going to do, we're going to come over here to the style option, and we're going to go to the background. Now we're going to set the background image. Now we're going to select this container here, this can image we've edited, and then we're going to add it here. Okay, and then we're going to come over here to the position. We're going to set the position to the center, and then repeat, we're going to set it to no repeat. Okay, and then for the display size, we're going to set it to contain. Okay, now we've done that, we're going to come back here to the layout, and then for the minimal height, we're going to change the unit from pixel to VH and give it a value of 60 VH. I will now have this full container displayed here. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our wrapper to it. So to do so, we're going to come over here, stick on this container, we're going to go to the style option, and then we're going to come over to the background overlay. Now for the on the normal state, we're going to come over here, set it classic, and we're going to add an image to it. Okay, so we're going to start with the Coca-Cola, and then we're going to select it. Now we're going to come over here to the position. We're going to set the position to center left. Okay, and then we're going to come over to the repeat. We're going to set the repeat to no repeat, and then to the display size, we're going to set it to hover. Okay, and then we're going to come over here for the opacity. We're going to set the opacity value to 1. Okay, so we'll now have this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to come over here to the blend mode, and then we're going to set the blend mode to multiply. Okay, now this is what we'll have here, as you can see. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here, but before we do that, let's come over here, let's change the position here to center right. Let's change it to center right, so we'll have our Coca-Cola showing in front. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we'll go to the hover effect, and we're going to add a background image. We're going to select the same image here, this image, and then we're going to come over here for the positioning. We're going to set the position to center left. Okay, and then for the repeat, we're going to set it to no repeat. The display size, we're going to set it to cover, and for the opacity, we're going to set the opacity to 1. Okay, so now we'll come over like this. Now have our wonderful effect, a wonderful 3D effect, as you can see. Okay, now we can also come over here, and then we can add the transition duration. We can set the transition duration to like 5 seconds, slow the effects, or we can take it off to like 20 seconds, slow it, and then we can just set it to 1. It's not fast. Okay, so it depends on how speedy you want your effect to work. But this is it. Now we'll be able to achieve this wonderful 3D rotation effect without the use of any line of CSS code with our Elementor free version. Now we're going to head over, and I'm going to show you how to achieve it with the Elementor Pro version with more features added to this 3D effect that makes it look more wonderful. So we're now working with the Elementor Pro. As you can see, there is no more notification here to upgrade to access all widgets. So let's proceed. Come over here and let's select the flexbox container. Let's select the structure here, and let's come over to the content weight, and then we'll set it to full width. And then for the minimal height, we're going to change the unit to VH and give it a value of 100. Now we're going to come over here, justify content to the center, align item to the center as well. Then we'll head over to the style option, and then for the background, we're going to give it a background color of black. Okay, now that we're done that, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to come over here, I'll draw the container and draw for share. Now for this content, we're going to set it to content full width, and then we're going to set the direction to row horizontal, and then we're going to come over here, align item to the center. Okay, now we're going to come over here and add another container within it. Let's drag and drop this container here. Now for this container here, we're going to set the width to 20%. Okay, and then we're going to come over here to this here. We're going to call this one inner container, and then we're going to call this one here car. Okay, all right, so now for the inner container, we're going to come over and then let's justify item to the center. All right, and then let's come over to the can. Now for the can, we're going to go to the style option. For the background, we're going to set the background image to be our empty can. Yep. Okay, and then we're going to come over here, position it to the center. and then set the repeat to no repeat. For the display size, we're going to set it to over. So unlike what we did for our, we're making use of the free version, here we're going to make use of code to achieve what we want. And I'm going to explain to you the reason why. So let's come over here to the advanced settings, and then we'll head over to the custom CSS. I'm going to make use of this line of CSS code, which is the aspect ratio. Now, the reason we're making use of the aspect ratio is we can just comment this out. Let's comment this out. And then let's come over here, and just like we did when we were making use of the free version, we'll set it to VH and then give it the value of 65, and we still have the same effect here. But you can see what we are getting here. We need to come over here now, and then we just have to set it from cover to contain in order to get what we want, this shape we want. Okay, so we can either choose to use this, or we can still make use of what we already have going on for us, which is our aspect ratio, which is a CSS code. Make use of the aspect ratio because it helps us when we're working with the responsiveness of this particular container, this particular can, and other effects we can be adding along the line. It's going to be straightforward situation. We won't be having any glitch or difficulties. Okay, so let's just make use of our aspect ratio. Okay, so now that we've done that, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to come over here to the style option. And then like we did before, we'll go to the background overlay. We've got for the normal, we're going to add our background to it, a background image. So we're going to select the Coca-Cola. And then for the Coca-Cola, we're going to come over to the position. We're going to set the position to center right. So that we could have this here. And then we're going to come over here to the repeat, set the repeat to no repeat. For the display size, we're going to set it to cover. And then for the opacity, we're going to set the opacity to 1. Okay, so we now have something that looks like this. Okay, now we're going to come over here to the blend mode, and we're going to set the blend mode to multiply. And we now have this effect here, like what we did when we were working with the free version. But we won't be stopping here. We're going to make use of a code to mask our can, this image to our can for better results. Now, the reason for that is if we should come over here and in the lesson, we want to add a transform effect to this. Let's come over to the cover. I will want to scale this up a little bit. You see, we're going to have a problem. You see, you can see this is the problem we're going to have here. Let's increase it up. So we're going to have a problem. You can see now that we no longer have this perfect can here anymore. Okay, so let's just come over here. And let's go back, and then I'll show you why we need a masking effect code in order to add other pictures to this. So we're just going to come over here, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come over here and add a masking image. We're going to mask our image. So to do so, we're just going to add our URL here, and then let's close this soon. Let's close this. All right, so we're now going to come over here and add our empty can URL here. So let's go over here and let's copy the URL for this. And then let's come back here to our advanced settings, come over to this custom CSS. Mind you, custom CSS is only available for Elementor Pro. And then there will be a link in the description of this video where you can purchase Elementor Pro. And also this code here will also be pinned to the first comment on this video on YouTube, so you can access it and just copy it and paste it out and replace this URL, this section here with your own empty can URL, and you have a perfect result like what we have here now. So as you can see, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our 3D rotating effect here. So to do so, just like we did when we were working with the free version, we're just going to come over to the style option here, and then we'll go to the background overlay. Now for the hover, we're going to come over here, set it to classic, and then we'll set the image, the same Coca-Cola image here, but this time around, we're going to set the position to be, well, in the normal state, it was center right, so in the hover state, we're going to set it to be center left, and then for the repeat, set it to no repeat. Display size, we're going to set it to cover. And then for the opacity, we're going to set the value to 1. Okay, so now we'll come over here. We'll now have this wonderful effect. Now, as you can see, our soda can is very, very big, and in order for us, if you want to reduce the size, it's easy for you to do so. So just going to come over to this inner container here, and that we're going to reduce the width here. So as you reduce the width, the size of the can reduces as well. So you reduce it to, let's say we reduce it to 70%. Okay, the reason we're having this chunky effect is because in our can, you remember we added the minimum height here. So we're just gonna remove this so we can see we now have it, the size reduced here. Okay, so now the next thing we can do here is we can just come over here and let's duplicate this can. But before we do that, let's add some effects to our can here. So now let's come over to the advanced settings and let's go over to the transform effect. Now for the hover, we can come over here and add an offset value for the hover. On the offset Y, we can give it a value of minus 60 pixels. So now when you hover, you now have this effect, pixel, which is a wonderful effect. And then we can just come over here now and we can duplicate this can here and duplicate it again. Now for this one here, the middle can, we can come over here, go to the style option, come over to the background overlay and select another soda can wrapper. This time we can select Pepsi. Okay, and then for the position, we're going to set the position to, for the normal state, we're going to set it to center left. And then for the hover, we're going to set it to center right. So when you hover, let's set the same image here. And so when you hover, you now have this wonderful effect. Now let's come over to the third can. Now for the third can, we can come over here, select another wrapper. We have so many here. We can select Dr. Pepper. And then we set the center right. Let's change it to center left. And then we'll go to the hover effect. And then we'll select the image again. And then we're going to come over here, select the position to center right. So now we now have these three cans here. This, okay, now you have this effect. You have this effect. You can still go further to add some more transform effect to spice this up a little bit. So to do so, what we're going to do is for the Coca-Cola, that's the first can here. We're going to come over here, and then we're going to go to the transform effect. For the hover, we can come and add a rotating effect, set it to minus 20. Okay, and then so when you hover, you now have this effect. And then we're going to come over to the Dr. Pepper and we're going to add the same effect to it. Come over to the transform over, and then we'll add rotation and we'll give it a value of 20 as well. So we now have this effect. So when you hover the Dr. Pepper, you hover on the Pepsi, you do straight Coca-Cola, you have this tilting effect. Alright, so we've come to the end of this tutorial. I hope you've learned something new. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to our channel, remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified first when we drop a new video. And feel free to drop your comment whenever you're confused, and I'll do well to attend to as much as I can. But until then, bye-bye.